She begged her father not to do it, but he gave her away like trash to a man he owed money to. She thought she'd been married off to a poor, quiet security guard. But years later, she'd walk into a mansion kitchen and discover the biggest secret of her life. Welcome to Impressive Soul Stories, where every tale touches the heart and every twist stirs the soul. Get ready for a journey you won't forget. In a faded town on the edge of nowhere, where dreams dried up faster than the summer heat, lived a girl named Lily, who knew hardship better than most. At just 19, she had become the house servant, cooking, cleaning, walking on eggshells around her bitter stepmother, while her father buried himself in beer and unpaid bills. One afternoon changed everything. She was peeling potatoes on the porch when her father stomped in with anger in his voice, and a stranger behind him, a tall, quiet man with tired eyes and scuffed boots. "This is Jack," her father muttered. "He worked my land, kept us fed, and now I owe him." Lily looked up, confused. Her father met her gaze without blinking. "He's your husband now. He takes you and the debt's cleared." Her world stopped. She dropped the knife, hands trembling. "Please don't do this, Dad, please." But he waved her off, slammed the door, and left her standing there like a used piece of furniture. Her stepmother didn't even say goodbye, just smirked and muttered something about peace at last. Jack never said a word. He stood silently as Lily was handed a grocery bag with her clothes and a faded photo of her mom, the only thing she couldn't leave behind. She rode beside him in a truck for hours, staring out the window as the world she knew disappeared behind dust and silence. When they reached the city, she was stunned to see neighborhoods with real sidewalks, tall homes, and cars that sparkled. But he didn't take her to a house. He led her to a tiny one-room outbuilding, tucked behind a massive gated estate. The mansion beyond the gates gleamed like a dream, but that wasn't her world. Her new life was in the cramped servants' quarters where Jack lived. A small bed, a microwave, 2 chairs, and air that smelled of old soap. He laid a blanket on the floor and told her quietly that she could sleep there. No touch, no talk, just space. That first night, curled under the window, Lily didn't pray for love. She prayed for silence, and in the silence she found something unexpected: peace. Jack left early each day in his security guard uniform and returned late, often placing what little money he had in a coffee jar before boiling tea they sometimes shared without speaking. She still didn't understand him, but she saw him. The way he handed her his only umbrella when it rained, the way he folded her blanket every morning, the way he never once raised his voice. She didn't love him, but she no longer feared the future. And somewhere deep inside, she felt that this quiet life was only the beginning, that Jack had secrets buried behind his tired eyes, and one day, everything she thought she knew would be turned upside down. As the weeks rolled on, Lily began moving through their small space like someone learning to live again, slowly, carefully, without making noise but without fear either. She started waking before Jack to make tea, folding his shirts, tidying the room, not because anyone told her to, but because it felt right. Jack kept his rhythm, early to work, late to return, always calm, always watching over her without smothering her. One rainy night, with thunder rolling outside and her heart strangely steady, Lily finally spoke. "Why are you kind to me?" she asked without looking at him. Jack stirred his tea and said quietly, "I know what it feels like to be unwanted." That was it. But it stayed with her. She noticed how the other staff at the mansion greeted him with respect, how he helped the gardeners without being asked, how he looked at the mansion not like a stranger, but like someone who had once belonged there. One afternoon, while sweeping near the front gate, a woman walked out from the mansion, a tall, elegant lady in her 60s, with pearl earrings and a calm smile. "You must be Lily," she said. "Jack talks about you. I'm Evelyn, the estate owner." Lily barely managed a polite smile. That night she asked Jack about Evelyn, and he simply said, "She's been good to me." The next day, Evelyn asked Lily to help in the kitchen. Their cook had left suddenly, and she needed someone. Nervous but curious, Lily agreed. She had never stepped foot in a kitchen so big. Stainless steel glass jars filled with spices she couldn't pronounce, marble counters so clean they reflected her face. But once she began cooking, everyone noticed. Her meals were simple but full of flavor, the kind that warmed people from the inside out. Evelyn was impressed. "You have talent," she said. "We may need you here more often." Days turned to weeks. And Lily began working full-time in the mansion kitchen, walking back each night to Jack's small room, her hands tired but her heart awake. She was learning to breathe again. But one evening, while wiping the kitchen counters, she overheard a heated voice. Evelyn's younger son, Tyler. "I'm tired of keeping this quiet," he snapped. "Jack isn't just some guard. He owns this house." Lily froze. Her hand trembled. The plate she was drying slipped and cracked on the counter. She had misheard. She had to have. Jack, her quiet, tired husband, the man who slept on a thin mattress and counted every penny, owned the mansion. Lily stood in the mansion's kitchen, her hands shaking above the broken plate, her heart thudding like a warning bell, trying to make sense of what she had just heard. Jack owns this house. The words echoed again and again, louder each, time refusing to fade. She didn't move, didn't breathe, just stared down at the shards of glass on the floor like they might rearrange themselves and erase the moment. But the truth had already been spoken, and there was no taking it back. That night, back in the small servants' room, Jack noticed the quiet in her eyes and asked gently if something was wrong. And she almost said it, almost asked him who he really was. But something inside told her to wait, to listen, to watch. Over the next few days, she did exactly that. She noticed how Evelyn always spoke to Jack with an odd softness in her voice, like she owed him something. She noticed how Tyler barely made eye contact with him, even though he was quick to bark orders at everyone else. And she noticed how Jack, though always in his uniform, walked the mansion like someone who didn't just work there, but belonged there. Finally, unable to carry the weight any longer, Lily confronted him. She waited until the lights were low, and the night felt quiet enough to ask big questions. "Jack," she said, "tell me the truth. Is this house yours?" He didn't look shocked. He didn't lie. He just sat down slowly, rubbed his hands together and nodded. Yes. Lily's breath caught. "Why," she asked, "why are we living in this little room when that mansion is yours?" Jack looked at her, really looked at her. "Because I had to know," he said, "if anyone could love me when I had nothing. Years ago I was the sole heir to this estate, but after my parents passed, there was tension. The wealth changed people. My Aunt Evelyn tried to keep things running, and I told her to hold it all under her name while I figured out what mattered to me. I left, I worked, I lived small, I got my hands dirty, and then I met you." Lily sat stunned, her world spinning. "So all this time, you knew?" Jack nodded again. "You were never supposed to be part of the plan. I just needed a way to help your father. But the day I met you, I saw your strength, your pain, and I didn't want to rescue you. I wanted to stand beside you. I didn't want to tell you too soon. I wanted you to feel safe with me, not with the mansion." Lily's throat tightened. "So everything you've done, the quiet, the small room, the work, it was all a test." "No," he said gently. "It was love." That night she couldn't sleep. Her heart ached not because of lies, but because of the truth. She had married a man with nothing, and found out he had everything, yet still chose to live like he had. Nothing, and just to love her right. In the days after Lily uncovered Jack's secret, the two of them moved through the mansion and its staff with a new sense of purpose, as if every corner held memories that had once been Jack's, but were now theirs both to claim and to leave behind. Evelyn approached Lily one afternoon in the grand hallway, her voice gentle but insistent, offering her a promotion to head chef of the estate kitchen with a full salary, benefits, and a promise of luxury. But Lily shook her head, feeling the weight of honesty and love in her chest. It had never been about money or status. She remembered every pound she had earned washing dishes in diners, every borrowed stove she had cooked on, and she realized that what she craved was a kitchen of her own, a legacy she could build hand in hand with Jack, free from the ghosts of debt and resentment. So she looked Evelyn in the eye and said thank you, but we're going elsewhere, and Evelyn's expression flickered between surprise and sadness as Lily continued, with Jack's quiet support beside her. "We want to start our own place, something small, something that feeds people's souls the way Jack's kindness fed mine when I had nothing." Evelyn nodded slowly, tears gathering in her eyes as she finally understood the depth of their bond and the power of Lily's independence, and she gave them her blessing along with an envelope containing the keys to a nearby storefront and enough capital to launch their dream. Jack and Lily packed their few belongings from the servants' quarters and moved into a cozy neighborhood 2 blocks from the mansion, where they transformed the empty corner shop into Hometown Hearth, a cafe painted warm yellow, its windows lined with fresh flowers and hand-lettered menus. Lily cooked recipes she'd perfected over 2 lives, spiced biscuits, slow-simmered stews, honey-glazed pastries, while Jack handled the books, greeted customers with his steadfast smile, and fixed anything that broke, from leaky faucets to stubborn cash registers. On opening day, a line snaked down the block as word spread that the former mansion cook was serving plates made with the kind of love people only heard about in stories. Day after day, Lily and Jack poured heart into their work. Lily rising at dawn to knead dough, Jack preparing coffee and washing dishes late into the night, both of them dreaming aloud of expanding, of teaching cooking classes, of bringing opportunity to other young people like Lily had once been. The cafe's warmth reached beyond its walls, as neighbors gathered over meals, sharing stories and laughter, and Lily realized that here, far from the loneliness of her past, far from the empty luxury of the mansion, she had found her true home, built not on hidden wealth, but on honest sweat, shared dreams, and a love that refused to be bought or sold. Months passed, and life for Lily and Jack was no longer just about surviving. It was about thriving, building something new, something real. Their small cafe, Hometown Hearth, had grown into a community staple, a place where people came for more than just food. They came for the warmth, the love, and the welcoming smiles that only Lily and Jack could offer. Business was booming, and with every meal Lily prepared, she knew she was building her future step by step alongside the man who had changed her life. But even as they worked hard, their quiet happiness seemed threatened by the shadow of Jack's past. The whispers of the mansion's wealth never fully left their lives, and though Lily had made peace with her marriage, part of her still wondered about the mansion beyond the gate, about the family Jack had walked away from. One evening, as they were closing the cafe, Jack sat down across from Lily, his expression unreadable. "There's something we need to talk about," he said quietly, his eyes betraying a hint of discomfort. Lily froze, her heart skipping a beat. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice tight. Jack hesitated, taking a deep breath before speaking again. "I've been offered a position at the mansion. Evelyn wants me to return and take a leadership role, managing the entire estate. She's offering a salary that would set us up for life, Lily. It's a lot of money, more than I could ever imagine earning here." Lily's mind raced, her fingers tightening around her cup. "And what do you want to do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack looked at her, his eyes filled with both regret and resolve. "I want to stay with you, Lily. This is my life now. But the offer, it's tempting. It could secure our future, give us everything we've dreamed of, and it would mean we wouldn't have to struggle anymore." The silence between them was thick, charged with emotions neither of them could name. Lily sat back in her chair, processing everything. She had never wanted wealth or luxury, just peace, and the simple joy of building a future with Jack. But was this what they wanted now? "What does it mean for us, Jack?" Lily asked finally, her voice low but steady. "If you take this job, it would change everything. You wouldn't just be working in a little cafe anymore. You'd be part of the world we left behind, one I don't know if I'm ready to step into." Jack looked at her with a sincerity that made her heart ache. "I'm not asking you to go back to the mansion with me, Lily. I'm asking you to trust that we can still make this work, that no matter what comes next, we'll face it together. I don't need the mansion, I need you, and I need our life. But if this job could make us secure for good, if it means we can have more of everything we've worked for—" He trailed, off watching her carefully. Lily took a long breath and smiled softly, her heart heavy but certain. "Then we'll take it, but only if we stay true to who we are. I didn't marry you for your wealth, Jack. I married you for your heart." Jack stood, his expression brightening. He walked over and took her hand, lifting her to her feet. "We'll do it together, Lily, no matter what comes next." And in that moment Lily knew whatever path they chose, it wouldn't matter. She had already found everything she needed: peace, love, and the strength to move forward, hand in hand with the man who had taught her what it meant to truly be seen. If this story moved you, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs it, and hit subscribe. At Impressive Soul Stories, the next chapter is always more powerful than the last. Stay blessed.